The Chicago Bears just got a nasty setback, and at this point, it kind of feels like piling on. And look, it's been a tough season, right? Many, including myself, hope for an upset of the Minnesota Vikings this Monday, but the chances of that just got way slimmer. And this defensive line, it's looked overmatched after the loss of Andrew Billings for the year weeks ago. It just hasn't been the same. And now, maybe the main player on this team that's broken out, and I'm talking about Jervon Dexter, he's going to sit this one out with a knee injury. And we've also got some news on a running back situation, how that might affect avoiding these slow starts that have plagued this team the whole season. And I also want to go through some players to watch in this game. There's still a lot to see, and these are going to affect what this team does in the near future. Guys, look, they need to fight for their spots because the 49ers game, it looked like there were definitely some dudes that just weren't interested in playing hard anymore, and we want to weed those guys out. And also, now we face a team that's on a roll. Like the Minnesota Vikings are on a roll, 7-game win streak, and now we're going to face them without our best interior defender, a knee injury. He's leading the Bears with 5 sacks and 16 quarterback hits. And this shouldn't be a surprise. The Bears signed a defensive tackle off the Green Bay practice squad to possibly bolster the line if this extends past this week. It almost looks like the Bears were expecting this because that guy is defensive tackle Jonathan Ford. He's a huge human, not a lot of playing experience, but he's likely going to see the field. And in case you were wondering, that's not great news. The other major piece that'll be out, that's running back Roschon Johnson. This isn't a surprise. He's still recovering from his second concussion in 2 years. Let's give him plenty of time to recover. And hey, I always give you something positive, right? I'm the eternal optimist on this channel, and I like it that way. So here it is. Safety Elijah Hicks. He's actually filled in quite nicely for Brisker while he's been out. He's going to be back to play after a 3-week absence. We'll see if he immediately slots back into the starter's role. And that was an ankle injury that he suffered during the Green Bay game. So we're looking at the only other major concern, that's running back DeAndre Swift. He's listed as questionable with the groin, and that's how it was last week. He got in a limited practice. We might not really know exactly where this is falling on either side, maybe until team warmups on Monday. We'll see as the week goes on. This is Bears interim head coach Thomas Brown talking. I'm positive, but when asked how he's feeling physically, if he's good enough to play, DeAndre Swift only offered this: I'm good. So do with that what you will. It's just kind of a difficult situation because most people are taking Thomas Brown completely off the menu as far as a head coaching candidate. You're not seeing him mentioned in any stories or any shows anymore, which is fine. He really did not do well getting the Bears ready to play against San Francisco, but I was hoping that he would get a fair shake. I was hoping that he would be able to make a little bit of noise to maybe have his hat still in the ring. At least provide some competition for the other candidates. And with all these injuries and the way this is falling, I don't think he's going to get an opportunity to play these teams with a full roster. Now, if he can get this team to ball out against these upcoming matchups with a depleted roster, I think that's really the only way that he can work his way back into the head coaching arena as a possibility, is to basically run the schedule with a depleted roster. So, I mean, we'll see. Anything's possible, not likely. So here's this thing with DeAndre Swift. He played through this injury last week, wasn't very effective. Maybe the best thing that should possibly happen is for him to just sit it out and heal up, which is too bad because we really need Swift, and that's because of his home run ability. And this home run ability that he has, he's a weapon that can actually make the Vikings play for blitzing. It feels like every single down. A little insight into this from DeAndre Swift. They play a lot of different people in a lot of different positions. Just try and stay within the system. If the play's supposed to hit north and south, just keeping it at that. If I break the line off scrimmage, just be myself. So that's what he had to say about it. I really hope he plays because now we're looking at a running back stable of Darrington Evans, Travis Homer. Now we just signed Royce Freeman. He's had some pop in his career, but this is just an uninspiring group. You very well might see two running backs in Evans and Freeman elevated for Monday night. Good grief. And then also we're elevating a practice squad, just signed defensive tackle to possibly bolster an underwhelming crew. I mean, once again, would be super nice to still have Khalil Herbert on this roster right now. And I've beat that dead horse, but I think it was just a silly trade getting rid of him. We got next to nothing. So kind of doing a little more overview on this. Since the Billings injury, this Bears pass rush, it's moved from 3 sacks a game to only 7 in the last 5. It's just not the same, obviously. And talking about the defense, it's hard to assess this defense without of a central presence in this line. Ripple effects of a weak line up the middle. It's been felt by the linebackers, and now they have to shoulder the whole load. And also the secondary. Everything is just out of balance. And now without the 3-tech, guys, this might get ugly. This defense is run by the tackles. They're the engine. Everything keys off of it. And now it's engineless. Everything just feels, it just feels off. And now we're looking at Zach Pickens, Cowart, Williams. Now we've got this newly signed defensive tackle. It's just not a great plan. Facing a Minnesota team that's in the opposite trajectory as us, a 7-game win streak. It's going to be done on Monday night for all to see. And I'm just not ready yet to celebrate the fact that we at this time as a team, we're in the slot to have the number 9 pick in the first round as it lies right now. I'm not ready to talk about that yet. I want to win some of these football games, and it's gut check time. Let's see how this team performs. Is there any fire? Is there a need for respect here? Or are they just going to play out the string? And I promise you, with the 9th pick in the draft, left tackle, that might be a big place of need. All the more reason for Braxton Jones to play like his job depends on it, because frankly, it does. And I promise you a player to watch. I think Braxton Jones is a player to watch in this game. We're looking at how he's been playing. He gave up a sack to Grenard last time these teams played. He gave up one against the 49ers. It can kind of be argued that it might have been 2, but this is just a blitz-happy team. He's going to be put through his paces. These games are essentially his final audition to continue being the Bears' starting left tackle. Fold up like a chair, especially in front of a national audience. I think it might be a guarantee that left tackle is the first name called for the Chicago Bears from their draft board in this draft. And there's some good ones. I would love for them to get out of this draft with their first pick, with their first 4 picks, with a center, with a new left tackle, with a guard. And there's also some room in there. This is a really good defensive end class. It would also be a really good thing if they could come away with a really good defensive end there. And then we're looking at now we have safeties concerns. We have Jaquan Brisker still out with a concussion. Kevin Byard isn't young. I think our corners are still going to be fine. I think the thought on Tyreek Stevenson having to be off the team and overreacting to that, I think it's way too much. I think he's going to be just fine with an offseason to settle in. Terrell Smith might be our new starter, or we'll continue to platoon those guys. I don't want to see a lot of resources spent on defense. This draft, this offseason is all about offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. And then you do the work in the trenches that's necessary, that we have depth behind Andrew Billings and Jervon Dexter. And I think we're going to be in really good shape. You guys let me know what you think. I would also still love to see Scott get some playing time at wide receiver. I don't understand why that's happening. It's not a foregone conclusion that we're going to spend more money on Keenan Allen. Just kind of some weird things happening. I hope we see some movement on these fronts. So you guys let me know what you think. We have an extra day to talk things through and to banter back and forth on the message boards, because we are looking at the Minnesota Vikings game being on Monday night. And yeah, it's going to be fun, or it's going to be really painful. You guys bear down, and I will talk to you soon. See ya.